Hey everybody, my name is James and I'm based in central London with a missional community called Heaven's Gate Mission, and I'm also part of the Eden Network, which is part of the Message Trust. Today I'm looking at Proverbs 25. I've also did Proverbs 3 in the Set Free Devotionals, which you can check out as well on the page, and really glad to be doing another one again today. I've really enjoyed listening into everybody else's kind of devotionals and what they've been able to bring in and the experience they've kind of had and the different angles that they've come from as well. And I love how God speaks in many different ways, and there's been times where I've just put on devotionals and it's just been the exact thing I've needed to hear on that day, and I've just really felt God speak to me, encourage me, challenge me through what I've been hearing throughout the devotional. So yeah, thanks Adam for setting this up. I think it's such a great way of encouraging and challenging each other and just getting into God's word deeper. And it's always been good seeing some friendly faces as well on the devotionals. Today, so I'm doing Proverbs 25, as I said, and I look in the NIV version. And I love looking at the little titles, if there's a title. And mine, it says More Proverbs of Solomon. He has a lot of them, doesn't he? And verse 1 says, these are more Proverbs of Solomon, compiled by the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah. And I think that's a good summary of this chapter, because when you look at the chapter, you see that things are a little bit all over the place. There's not always very much flow in these next chapters. And it's like these guys have just compiled whatever they found and just put it into a book. It's like they've gone onto a Twitter page and they've just gathered a random load of tweets from Solomon, and they've just shoved it together. But I mean, there's still so much wisdom that you can take from it, and that's what I want to do today. I just want to look at a few verses actually again, and because I really felt God kind of really speak to me, challenge me for it, and hopefully He'll do the same with you. Obviously, beforehand, please do stop the video, read the chapter yourself. Or do it afterwards and ask God to speak to you, because you never know what He may speak to you through it, and it may be again something different than what I may share with you. But the thing that really stood out to me was so verse 4 to verse 5, and it says, remove the dross from the silver, and a silversmith can produce a vessel. Remove wicked officials from the king's presence, and his throne will be established through righteousness. And I looked at dross because I think I've heard of dross before, but I couldn't really remember what it was. But dross is the stuff that you'll get around silver when you find it, when you dig for it, when you mine for it. And it's the stuff that needs removing so that you get the silver out. Just like you used to do with gold back in the day, if you ever remember that, doing as a kid. To get the good stuff, you have to wash all this other stuff, and obviously a silversmith are trained to actually do it, because it's not just as simple as washing it. There's a process as well to it. And but obviously there's a link here from verse 4 to verse 5 that's really important. So obviously removing that dross from the silver, and a silversmith can produce a vessel, can produce something that's really good. And verse 5, it says, remove wicked officials from the king's presence, and his throne will be established through righteousness. And so there's a link between the dross and the wicked servants, or wicked officials. Now, obviously, thinking about it, these wicked officials would have had influence over the king's decisions. They would have been the ones saying, hey, king, we think you should do this. We think you should go over there. We think you should go and attack that town. We think you should go and, do all these things. And obviously, if their decisions and their influence was negative and not good, then it's going to be not good for the king in the long run. And so actually the king needs to remove these wicked officials so that he can have people around that he can trust, who's going to have wisdom and love and grace, and give him a sound mind to understand really what his land will need. And that's just like us. And I think there's something we can really look at this in our own context. Is like, what is the dross in our own lives? Who are the wicked officials in our own lives? And I think you can look at this in two ways. You can look at this in potential people or communities or friendship groups, or even things, like actual things like Netflix and music and all these different things that we have in our lives. And what I want you to do is I want you to just think about, is there dross? I mean, maybe that's even a silly question, because I think we all have it at times. I think it doesn't matter what we go through, there's always going to be dross that's going to come up. So probably the better question is, what is the dross in my life at the moment that's stopping me from really knowing God more, from really, developing as a disciple and growing closer to Him? What are those things that are stopping me doing that? And maybe there are people, in your life at the moment who are dross, who are those who are not actually influencing you in very good ways. I think of people I used to know back in school, and I remember one lad who my parents were really just they thought he was a nice lad, but they knew that he influenced me in the wrong way, and they didn't want me to be friends with him. And I got in trouble with a head teacher and with lots of other teachers in the school because of being influenced by this guy. And I kept being friends with him because I was young and stubborn. But yeah, it makes me, and also another kind of example is in the Eden Network and Message Trust. They do a lot of prisons work, and they will work with a lot of guys in prison who are in there for many different things, obviously. Some are in there because of drug dealing, or prostitution, whatever it may be, getting really mixed up. And especially those who are drug dealers, when they would be released out of prison, the place they would go back to is the place they were familiar with, because it was the community that they were used to. So they would go back into the community of drug dealers again because they were family. And as you can imagine, that's not a good influence, is it? That's something that then it's just going to send them back into a continuous spiral, and they'll go back to prison again. And so the Message obviously worked with these guys and then ended up planting them into new communities, and joining them part of Eden teams, and churches that will give them healthy and good influence kind of into their life that they're going to need. And we need that today, and that's a very extreme example, but I want you to think about even people today. And I think obviously we have to be careful with this, because I'm not saying you should just get rid of all people who do bad things or who make mistakes or maybe sometimes influence you in the wrong ways, because obviously we're human at the end of the day, and we all make mistakes, and we need to learn together. And sometimes we need to challenge our friends, or say, hey, is that a healthy thing? I don't think you should say that. And vice versa. Hopefully they say that to you as well if you ever say something. But sometimes there are people and things in our lives that do need to be removed. Now, obviously, I want you to pray about that. I want you to consider that, talk about that with church leaders and people who are trusted before you ever make big decisions like that, because it's not an easy thing. And I wouldn't want to tear apart communities or families by misunderstanding what I'm saying. But maybe there are those people that you just know it. You just know that they're influencing you time and time again to do bad things, wicked things. And it's constantly happening, and you just know that you can't break away from, unless you break away from that, you're not going to be able to change. You'll know if that's the case. If it's not the case, then there's other things that you can do there. But also things like I said, Netflix and music, what you're listening to, are these things really influencing you? If you're watching a film on Netflix and it's got loads of sex in it, is that influencing you in a really bad way? Or is it, the music that you listen to, is that influencing you? Or the social media posts, are you always looking at how this person looks and you just think, I wish I would look like that, but you just feel down all the time, and you feel like I'm never going to be like that? Maybe you just need to get rid of that, because that's not going to be helpful for you. So just like what we read in Proverbs there, the king has to get rid of those wicked officials, because he's only going to be able to get sound advice and make good decisions by getting rid of those things. So I just encourage you to pray about that, to maybe even write those things down and talk about it with friends that you trust and church leaders who you trust. I think it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how long you've been in church or a Christian. I think we all need to do this. Even myself, I need to do this and stop and say, what dross is in my life? What is the dross that's stopping me from really getting to know God more? And I know some of those things that can really influence me in really negative ways. So I need to get rid of those things. So I'm hoping this will encourage you to do the same thing. But thanks for listening, and really pray that dross will be revealed to you, and so that you can kind of make the good decisions to either get rid of it, watch less of it, whatever it may be. I just pray God gives you wisdom in how to go forwards. Cool. All right, well, good seeing you all. And take care. God bless.